Well, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon. Whenever you're watching this video, this is James Shelton, your instructor for Theology 301. I'm glad to be with you here for week three. And thank you so much for your good work. I look forward to digging into more of it uh, during this week and as you move on to the material for week three. So just want to give you a quick overview of the week ahead. Let you know at the outset, I'm praying for you and rooting for you and just with you here on this journey and grateful for that. Okay, so our instruction this week is based on who we are and what we need. So, one of the crucial ideas to develop in the world of Christian theology is a better understanding of what it means to be a human being. Too often, Christians get so involved in the mechanics of how God made the world that we overlook the real theology behind the fact that He did. And once we realize what it means to be a human, we're confronted with the reality of our disobedience and our need for what only God can provide: atonement. And so everything is going to be based upon that. You can read the learning objectives there, and I'll run you through everything that's going to be going on this week. You've got Unit 1 for this week focuses on the image of God. You've got your reading in chapters 5 and 6, and then you will upload your response to chapters 5 and 6. You've got your personal Bible review and then a forum. Does the Bible really say how God created the world? And that is an exciting and interesting question. Does the Bible really say how God created the world? Unit 2 will focus on human nature, and you'll have a voiceover PowerPoint here from Dean Huxford, followed by some supplementary reading in a book called Surprised by Hope by Tom Wright. You are becoming intimately familiar with Dr. Wright through Simply Christian. This was the sequel, so to speak, to Simply Christian. Surprised by Hope, and the link to that reading you can find right here on the module for week three. And then after that, you'll have an essay uh, answering this question, and I'll go over the details of that in just a moment. But why does Wright insist that Christians affirm the bodily resurrection of Jesus? And then in Unit 3, we focus on atonement. Atonement, speaking of what God has done. You have a voiceover PowerPoint on atonement theories. Following that, a video from Dr. Wright on living in the light of the cross. And then in Unit 4, we're going to try to add it all up, the basic questions. You have a link here. How do the ideas of human nature and atonement intersect? How do you put them together? It's a voiceover PowerPoint presentation for that. And then in 311, it's your theological exercise. Now, I want to move from here to the assignments for this week and just briefly go over them. I know that you guys can read all of this for yourself, and I've mentioned them shortly. I mentioned them briefly there in the introduction, but here's your week three forum for this week. Does the Bible really say how God created the world? Your first post is due by Thursday, and a response to at least one other student by the end of the week. And your initial post should be 250 words explaining how you answer this question. Following that, in the assignments, we have our theological exercise for this week. And we're asking you to find a person with whom you can spend time discussing the questions and answers presented in Unit 310. Seek to discover their understanding of these concepts. Do you think this exercise helps the person with whom you are talking better understand the intersection of human nature and atonement? And what we want you to do is simply upload a one-page review of this discussion. So be sure to take in the materials in Unit 310, and then find someone you can spend time discussing the questions and answers that you're exposed to in that unit. And then, do you think that this exercise helps them to better understand how human nature and atonement intersect? And then just upload a one-page review of that discussion. Also, this week, we have your response to your reading in Simply Christian. Don't read or answer these questions until you have completely read the assignment. You can use your text. When Wright talks about the relationship between heaven and earth, he does so with three options, and we'd like for you to explain those options. Of the three options, tell us which one Wright prefers and what reasons does he give for that preference. How do those options challenge how you have always thought about heaven and earth? And then finally, list some of the reasons Wright believes it is important for there to be a chapter on Israel in a book that is about what it means to be a Christian. What is the value of thinking this way? So you have your 4 bullet points there to guide your Simply Christian response for this week. All right. And make sure I don't miss anything. You have a couple more. You have your essay. I'm going to look at your 3.7 essay here before I go back to the personal Bible review. This is the Why Does Wright Insist That Christians Affirm the Bodily Resurrection of Jesus? This is a 2-page response, Times New Roman 12-point font. Double spaced is fine. Does not need to be single spaced. Why does Wright, and this is after you've read your supplementary reading, Surprised by Hope. Why does he insist that Christians affirm the bodily resurrection of Jesus? Because it may come as a surprise to some of you in this class. But there are Christians, there are those who claim to follow Jesus who do not affirm the bodily resurrection of Jesus, that the resurrection of Jesus was spiritual in nature. There are some who also claim to be disciples of Christ who believe the resurrection might not have happened. That is a minority fringe over here, but there are some. So why does Wright, after you've read Surprised by Hope, we'll do a 2-page response on that. And then the last assignment that I want to go over with you today is your personal Bible review. What the course is asking you to do is to sit down in one sitting without interruption, read Genesis 1 and 2, and then answer these questions. What differences do you note in the two differing accounts of creation? Now, we're not asking you to say, well, they may look like differences, but they're really not. No, just sit down and just read the Bible, read the text, and note the differences. Okay. The second one is do you see a mechanical description of creation or a theological account? In other words, do you see a step-by-step way that God created the world, or are you reading a theological account of creation? Second. And then third, what's the most exciting thing you recall from your reading? All right. That's your work. And again, I am excited to be on the journey with you, and thank you so much for your continuing good work. It's great to interact with you throughout this course. James.Shelton@point.edu, or you can email me here through Canvas through the email, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Hey guys, keep going. You're doing wonderful work thus far. I'm here for you, praying for you. Keep going. You can do this. God bless you.